Welcome to Roundtable, a community-focused initiative of Titan Radio and the faculty and students of the Broadcast Communication program at Westminster College. You're an important part of this dialogue. As you listen today, send us your thoughts on this show or ideas for future shows by calling our newsline at 724-946-6397. Send us a direct comment using the shout-out feature on the free Titan Radio mobile app. Email us at titanradio@westminster.edu or drop us a comment on our Facebook, Twitter, X, or Instagram pages. And now, here's today's discussion on Roundtable.
Welcome to Roundtable. I'm Vivian, and today I'm joined with Dr. Summer Zickafoose, and we'll be chatting about the Yoko Ono exhibit at the Foster Art Gallery at Westminster College. How are you doing today, Dr. Zickafoose?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I said, the art gallery here at Westminster has an amazing exhibit up and running until when in October?
October, oh gosh, it's like the 24th or 25th, I believe.
Yeah, so you guys have a
24th.
good amount of time till 24th to come and check it out. And yeah, I've walked through it and it's very beautiful. So I'm so excited to be able to chat with you today about it. So first off, let's just talk about the exhibition and its message. And so can you explain the it's called Passages and Wishes and what it aims to do for visitors?
Sure. So we have just a very small selection of artworks by the artist Yoko Ono, who's a very well-known conceptual performance artist. Many people might be more familiar with Yoko Ono because of her association with John Lennon and the Beatles, but she um, was a practicing artist well before meeting John Lennon, and her artwork, her career has spanned many, many, many decades, and a lot of the themes have been really consistent in her work, and peace activism is one of those themes. So we brought a collection of works to the campus here that reflect that long history of what she's been doing as an artist. So on one hand, we really wanted to bring an artist with a bigger name here to the campus. It's not an opportunity that we get very often to bring in an artist that more people would know and be familiar with. Typically, we're pulling from our region for artists who have exhibitions here, some national and a few international, but typically they wouldn't be known to people on the campus. So this was a really rare opportunity for us, and we wanted to take it. So that was one goal of the show. And then the other was simply to bring the work with the themes of peace activism to the campus at this time. And we felt like her work and the way that she has gone about the peace activism is a really broad, thoughtful, open-ended, and accessible way to kind of talk about these issues. So those were kind of the two main reasons and the goals for the exhibition.
Something I find interesting is that you said bringing a bigger artist here to Westminster, and the business department just brought in Julie Foudy, and I got to talk to Dr. McGrath Brown about that and how much that means to Westminster. That these big named people and get to come and speak and show their artwork for you guys. So, kind of, what does that mean to you that people are maybe taking Westminster kind of seriously and wanting to bring their art to us?
Yeah, it really does mean a lot for a campus that's our size and a campus that isn't situated in an urban area either. So those two things make us, really unique as a college. And those are really wonderful qualities that we have as a college and things that I really like about us. But it does make it challenging to bring in artists that wouldn't normally put their work in a small venue. They would normally exhibit in large museums. I mean, Yoko has had huge retrospective exhibitions recently, like in London at the
Mm.
Tate Modern. So those are huge venues,
Yeah.
and also at small venues like our gallery. I didn't know Julie Foudy was coming until after the show, like, was sort of planned, and so I don't think I knew she was coming till like August or September.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to hear that and thought it was kind of interesting and fun that like two bigger named um, you know, with people with bigger names, and those events were happening on campus the same semester.
Yeah, I went to, Julie's talk, and then looking at the artwork in Foster, I mean, it's just really amazing that Westminster gets these opportunities. And when we're looking at Yoko Ono's artwork, one of the big things they have is the wish tree, which if you go on the Westminster's Instagram page, I saw this beautiful photo of a girl kind of getting emotional at looking at it, and I just thought, oh my goodness, that is just so beautiful. How that is, the picture is art itself, and just seeing how like people are resonating with it. But um, what is the significance in kind of inviting people to come and kind of interact with the art in her art?
Yeah, that piece, Wish Tree, I also wanna note here, this is not the first Wish Tree project on our campus.
Mm.
Dr. Clark brought a Wish Tree project to campus. It wasn't that long ago. It's probably within 5 years,
Mhm.
I think, when she did that, and she just used a tree on campus, and she did it, I think, with a particular class, and she's been very involved with the Peace Studies minor, and so I think there was some association with that, and I remember talking to her about it, um, and, like, she ordered the tags, and she sent the tags off, to be in the Peace Tower. That's what happens to all the tags of every wish tree that's ever done anywhere. Um, anyway, I just wanted to say that because it's kind of now this is the second time we've done a
Mhm.
witch tree piece on campus. This one's a little bit more noticeable because it's in the gallery, it's with her other works, it's up for longer. Um, I'm not sure if I even am following your question. Am I answering your question? 'Cause
Sure, it's
I
fine.
kinda went off on a tangent.
No, it's okay. I was just asking about the significance of inviting people from our community and Westminster students to kind of interact with her artwork.
Yeah, it kinda gets to, like, the question of, participatory work and, like, the significance of that. So, artwork that involves some audience participation is, I guess, the the sort of idea behind doing artwork like that is that it becomes collaborative in a way. So the artist is leading it, and she certainly, designed the work. So everything is conceptually driven by the artist. She designed the project. She understands how it will look when it's done. And so it's sort of narrowing the participation and the collaboration to this one element of the work. And in that way, it ends up still fitting the design, like, the visual aesthetic of what she's trying to do as an artist, as a visual artist. But it's also collaborative in that the people participating finish the work. And if people didn't participate, it actually would never be realized. The concept of the work would never be realized. And so in that way, you are a part of the artwork, and the meaning through the wish tags is part of what that artwork becomes. It's then really particular to the place where it's being done. All the people, the individuals who participate, all of their individual wishes is what makes that version of the wish tree specific to that place and to that community and to the people who participate. So that kind of work is a way to get people involved in art making, and it's a nice, kind of way to be making art without feeling the barriers of not having skills to make art, or to feel like you had to come up with the idea. You have to have a particular specialized skill set to do the work, and you're just invited in. And the task you're asked to participate in is simple. It's just writing. It's just your ideas. So you then are part of the conceptual artwork too. It's your ideas and her ideas, and that's what makes the work in the end. So that's sort of the idea of artwork where audience members can participate in it. And I think that you're left. I guess I feel that you're left as someone who participates in the work of others, you're left feeling like you were a part of that. And that's a deeper connection than you have. Um, Even if it's a painting that you really connect to and you feel an emotional connection to a painting that's really moving to you, you aren't participating in it in the same way. So it's just a different kind of connection. And the other work that's in the show that has some element of participation is the Action for Peace posters. And those are hanging on the wall, but there's a stack in the gallery too. And so anyone coming to the gallery can take a poster with them. So in that way, you're sort of taking away like a memento of the show, but also like you're taking the words and the point of the poster with you to keep thinking about and have with you as sort of a reminder of what her message is.
I think it's interesting that you said that you don't need a lot of skills to kind of participate and obviously in this exhibit because when I was in 5th grade, I'm the least artistic person that you probably will ever meet in your whole entire lifetime. And my art teacher looked at me one day and she was trying to be so encouraging, but I think she maybe had enough of me, and she goes, "Vivian, you have the art skills of a kindergartner. It's okay that, like, you're not you're not getting it, and it's okay, and it's really okay." And I was thought to myself, I was like, "Maybe it's okay that I'm not good at art and, art, um doing art is not my, gonna be my passion." So I learned that from a young age. So I did enjoy this one because I didn't have to have a skill set to, again, participate. It's something that you kinda just go, enjoy, and again, write, which mostly everybody in this world can write a little thing that um, they wish for. So, when you were saying that, that made me chuckle because I thought
Well,
of
see,
my 5th grade math or 5th grade art teacher.
now you've triggered the art teacher and the art advocate in me. So now I have to address that. One, kindergartners make the absolute best work. They are brilliant. And don't ever like denigrate a kindergartner's art because they are full of humor and just the natural like joy of making before really the age where you worry about what it looks like. Oh my gosh, kindergartner drawings are the best. So that was a compliment. Perhaps not one she intended, but it was a compliment.
Oh, I'm gonna look at this.
We should all wish we were as good artists as kindergartners. So there's that. And two, no way are you the least creative. No. Uh-uh. No. That's just not true. It's not true. I mean, my goodness. I'm gonna come find you. Now you're gonna have to sign up for an art class. I'm gonna prove you wrong.
I so I'm graduating next in May, so
Well,
I
you have
I
one
have
semester. There's time.
I have time. I don't have many I have one class I have to take, so maybe I'll fill in for an art class because, yeah, so now I'm gonna look at that comment because you said that kindergartners make great or I'm gonna use that in a different way now because whenever I'm doing something that requires art or I think about that moment every time and, it's something I can take because yeah, I'll show you some of my drawings one day
I'll
and,
bet I'll love them.
maybe you can hang them up.
Well, I
Uh
can't throw away any of my kids' drawings from when they were little, like, ever. They're just gonna fill my house because they're
Yeah.
so wonderful.
I have a picture that's I was in the tub one time and somebody brought their kid in and they were drawing for me and they were drawing and they just came up and they handed me it and I guess I was like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen," and I put it on my fridge back there, so, yeah, maybe you are right, I gotta look at this comment in a different way.
Yeah,
But
and, there's so many different ways to make art. I think sometimes the idea people have in their heads is this does kinda relate to Yoko's work.
yeah.
So we'll make it connect. But I do think that often the idea that we have in our heads about art making is maybe sometimes it's about observational drawing. It's about the idea that you can look at something and recreate it. So you can observe something in life and draw that accurately or sculpt it accurately. Now, yeah, that is one way to make art. That's one way to think about skill. But another way people think about it and sort of build walls about whether they can do it or not has to do with creativity. But that, we just use creativity in so many different ways. So crafting good questions, for example, as an interviewer, that's creative. So coming up with a business concept plan as an entrepreneur, that's going to be creative. So you have to use creativity in so many different ways in your life. It probably just isn't being directed into visual art making, and so you feel like you aren't using your creative muscles in that way, but you're probably using them in other ways. So, since I teach so many non-majors, I'm just asking students to sort of turn that creative muscle towards the visual. But if you think of like embroidery, most students have never embroidered before, but it might be something they learn in one of our classes. And so everyone's kind of starting at the same point, which is different than like observational drawing, right?
Yeah.
So there's art making for you, for sure.
Well, we're gonna find out what my art yeah, I'm now gonna take an art class. Guys,
Yeah, you got
everybody keep posted next semester when I take my art class, and then will be the, final say. But back to kind of Yoko Ono, because we kinda got derailed, and that's my fault, but it's okay. Well, you're talking about the Action for Peace, portion of her exhibit, and one of my friends actually has the poster. She hung it up on the back of her door, and I think that is and when I walked in, I was like, "What is this?" And she was telling me all about it because it was before I went, but I was wondering, how do you think that, exhibits like this help students, particularly think about the global issues that are going on in our world?
Yeah, I think for one, like this statement is pretty open-ended. It's not specific to an event or a particular place, even though any of us could bring up any number of events that are happening in our world right now where peace activism would be useful. And so maybe that's what is brought to mind and maybe what a person would be thinking about for their action. However, the fact that it is open ended is part of how her peace activism has had this longevity because when, John and Yoko were doing, their bed-in for peace, for example, I mean, that was a very different time in history, like Vietnam War activism. And because the way that she's gone about her activism and the use of text is directed at you, like action for peace is something that we could all think about what that means for ourselves, what kind of action we want to do to promote peace, what we're doing individually, what we're doing in a community, what is an action anyway. Um, it can then be relevant over time. Like as the decades went on and different events were happening in the world, that statement is still relevant. So I think that the way that she has made her work not it's not lecturing at you, it's not, I guess, bringing you, like, one viewpoint either, and I think that that can be really helpful to sort of allow people to take that statement and use it towards their own end, and in a way that is meaningful to them.
And I like when you said, like I wrote down, like, it's not, like, lecturing at you, which how do you feel, like, interacting with art, it kind of changes somebody's thinking process and maybe learning process rather than when they're sitting in a classroom, kind of being lectured at?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's similar to the difference between, like, listening to music through a speaker, through your headphones versus seeing live music. When the difference is kind of sensory and it's a different experience where you're probably engaging emotions in a different way. You're just feeling it differently. And that's the case when you see or engage with art in person versus sort of looking at like slides in a classroom. And when you're walking around it and experiencing, I just think your brain is kind of engaged in different ways, your body's engaged in different ways, and that can leave you with a greater understanding of the art's meaning and also a feeling of how art can connect to you. And I just think even, like, getting out to a museum or seeing public sculpture or anything is just it's much more powerful and impactful than looking at it. And those discussions can be interesting too. I mean, I teach an art history class and certainly like we can't spend all of our time looking at work in person. I usually try to do at least 2 field trips, and those are critical. Like being able to do that is almost like yeah, it kind of brings home what we're trying to do in the classroom and makes the discussions a little bit more relevant. So it's just a very different experience to kind of be around art in person and kind of sit with it and spend time with it. And I just think you're left with more.
And how do you kind of hope that, this Yoko Ono's, exhibit kind of inspires students, to create their own art projects and activism or just art in general?
I hope that they can see a couple of things that from Yoko's work. One is maybe how simple it can be because there is a simplicity to her work. And that simplicity, I hope, can feel like an accessible way to get involved in any kind of activist movement or art making itself. Is that there's not, I guess it brings to mind something that people often say about lots of not just contemporary art, but modernist art too, certainly abstract expressionism. People often see examples from those movements and a common statement is, well, I could do that, or my 2-year-old could do that. Well, perhaps, but that really wasn't the point of the work. It may not be true, but it isn't the point of the work. But if the point of the work is to make you feel like you could, then please do. Like, great, start making work. And maybe you could do a simple activist artwork that engages with people in a similar way. Maybe it's a short statement. Maybe you're a poet and words are a way that you can connect with people. And this show might help you see a way where your poetry could connect to people in a really interactive way, or with the public in a way that's different than a poetry reading. So, a student that's maybe studying political science could see the way that artists can be involved in political movements and have tools at their disposal that politicians don't. Um, so I think there's all kinds of ways that students could see her work as a model for things that they could also do and be involved with. So I hope that that's, one way that it connects.
Honestly, and you may think to yourself, "Well, that's not that big a revelation to be having, Vivian, right now," but just from speaking with you from this, kind of short amount of time and in the story I brought up earlier, I guess I've never really thought about how art is literally everywhere. Like, art is so many different things, and I think that's something that is so, great about this, exhibit that you have brought in and, that she shared with us because I guess having art that you don't have to necessarily be, quote unquote talented in and to be able to just still be able to participate in it is is such a beautiful thing to have access to on our small campus.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but I guess my one of my final questions is what do you hope that people take away from this?
I hope they take away a poster. Go get a poster. Take away a poster and take one for a friend. So they should take away that, and they should leave a wish. So leave a wish, take a poster. So those are 2 ways that people could participate with the show. And I hope that they take away a feeling of, empowerment, that there is something that you can do personally, a way that you can contribute, to making our world a more peaceful place for everyone to live. And I hope that just the sort of longevity of her work, that she has never stopped making work with these same themes and the same hope behind it. There's a lot of hope in her work. And I hope that those sentiments in her work carry through to the audience that goes to see it too. And I think one of the questions you had given, which I want to address here just at the end because it's how the wish tree piece is culminated. So I mentioned it earlier, but the video that's in the show includes some information and like historical context for the Peace Tower Memorial that's in Iceland. And the Peace Tower Memorial also contains all of the wishes from all of the wish trees that have been done around the world. And the reason we could one of the reasons we could bring this work to campus is that Yoko Ono designs her work not to be precious, but to be available. And so she isn't very exclusionary about how she wants her work to exist in the world. It doesn't just have to go to Berlin and LA and um, places where they're huge, huge cities for art. But it can be in small places too. And that's just a feature of who she is as an artist and of conceptual art, actually. So that's sort of how it got to be here. But imagine like the number of wishes, thousands upon thousands of wishes. And the wishes from our campus, from Westminster, will also be there amongst all those other wishes. And that's a really powerful thing to think about too. So that's where all those wishes will go. We'll bundle them up and send them off and to her studio, and then her official studio sends them to the Peace Tower in Iceland. So for all of those who do participate, it's a really lovely thought to know that that's where your wishes will end up. So.
What's the process like getting one of her exhibits like into the Foster Art Gallery? Is it like a long time? Did it take a long time?
Yeah, I've been working on this with the curator for about 2 years.
Oh, wow.
This kind of started as just an idea and then sort of trying to work out the logistics of it. And then a lot of work, I would say the majority of the work, the labor of putting it together is over the past 6 months.
Yeah.
It's the heaviest, and then a year. Um, and she has an official studio, which an artist of a certain caliber would. And Yoko herself could, come to the campus. She's older at this point and not able to travel everywhere. But her official studio handles all of her exhibitions. So we had to get approval for everything we did through her studio. But the curator that I worked with has done other exhibitions of her work in other places, like in Akron, and some other smaller colleges. Maybe this may have been the smallest venue, but they've done, I think, 10 other exhibitions of her work, not unlike this one. And so they were the connection because they had already worked with her studio. I probably wouldn't have wanted to tackle that on my own. And so I kind of needed to work with that curator to be the go-between. So that was kind of a longer process.
And what's next for the Foster Art Gallery? Do you guys have any other big plans?
Yeah, I usually schedule the exhibitions a year or two in advance so that, like, right now I'm planning exhibitions for next academic year. And so we have some really fun exhibitions coming. The next one this semester is an artist by the name of Morgan Bukovic, and she has a wonderful series of pieces that are based on her personal experience waiting tables.
Hmm.
And she took comments that were made to her in that job. So comments by customers, and embroidered them onto I don't know what you call them, but like the order tags, the paper that you used to take orders at a table. So she embroidered all of the things, like different things people have said to her over the years onto those statements. I think that it will connect. I hope that it will connect to students in a really real way because many students are in service-oriented jobs, as I was. I worked for 10 years waiting tables. And when I saw that piece, I just loved it because it connected to me in my history of doing that same job. So I think that's going to be a really fun show. She's going to do a workshop with my fiber arts class as well. Yeah, so that's the next show that's coming. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining me today and talking about the exhibit in the Foster Art Gallery. So remember the last day to come and visit is October 24th. So make sure you get in here. It's in um Patterson Hall, when you just walk in it says it clearly out there on the door, and take a poster and leave a wish as your little mementos from there. But thank you so much, Dr. Zickafoose, for joining me today.
thank you so much. This is a lot of fun.
This has been Roundtable, a community-focused initiative of Titan Radio and produced by the faculty and students of the Broadcast Communications program at Westminster College. You're an important part of this dialogue. Send us your thoughts on this show or ideas for future shows by calling our newsline at 724-946-6397. Send us a direct comment using the shout-out feature on the free Titan Radio mobile app. Email us at titanradio@westminster.edu or drop us a comment on our Facebook, Twitter, X, or Instagram pages. Join us again next week for Roundtable here on Titan Radio and TitanRadioLive.com.